African cichlids don't die suddenly. They die long before you notice anything is wrong, and that's the lie almost every keeper believes. When a fish dies, the brain wants a simple cause. Disease, aggression, bad food, parasites, something visible, something you can point at and say, that's it. But in most African cichlid tanks, rock-heavy mbuna setups, open hap systems, peacock communities, even calm frontosa groups, that's not what actually kills the fish. The real cause is quieter, harder to see. Instability, not chaos, not disasters, micro-instability. Small shifts that don't look dangerous on their own, but they stack quietly, day after day, and most keepers miss it for one reason. They trust numbers more than systems. Ammonia 0. Nitrite 0. pH looks fine. Temperature looks fine, so the brain relaxes. But African cichlids didn't evolve in glass boxes with weekly routines. They evolved in ancient lakes, Lake Malawi, Lake Tanganyika, where conditions don't fluctuate, they repeat. The chemistry doesn't chase perfection, it maintains ratios. The temperature doesn't swing, it holds. The oxygen doesn't spike, it flows. Their biology isn't built for correction, it's built for consistency. And the moment that consistency cracks, even slightly, the collapse begins, long before the first fish hits the gravel. And here's the part almost no one wants to hear. By the time death looks sudden, it's already too late. Micro-instability doesn't appear randomly. It always enters the system through the same 4 doors. First, thermal drift. Small day-night temperature swings that feel harmless to us but constantly tax a fish's metabolism. Second, mineral drift. Evaporation topped off with the wrong water. RO mistakes. Gradual dilution of hardness that never trips an alarm but slowly rewrites internal balance. Third, oxygen geometry. Flow that looks strong at the front of the tank but dies silently behind rock piles, creating pockets where oxygen debt builds every night. Fourth, social pressure imbalance. Dominant fish blocking access without chasing, subdominant fish feeding last, then leaving first. None of these kill a fish alone, but together they destabilize the system. And once a system starts drifting, it doesn't announce itself, it waits. Here's what most people never see. The moment parameters drift, even a little, stress hormones rise. Cortisol increases inside the fish. You can't test for it, you can't see it, but cortisol changes everything. Immunity drops, and once immunity drops, bacteria that were always present suddenly become a threat. That pressure changes social behavior. Hierarchy tightens. Dominant fish sense weakness. Stress rises again, digestion slows, nutrient absorption drops. The fish eats, but gains less energy. Energy loss weakens the fish further. Weakness attracts pressure. Pressure causes withdrawal. Withdrawal reduces feeding, and the loop keeps spinning. This isn't one problem, it's a feedback system. Invisible to test kits, invisible to most keepers, but completely predictable if you understand how African cichlids actually function. And no, this never starts with drama. It starts with things that feel harmless. A 1-degree temperature swing, a slow mineral dilution, uneven oxygen behind rocks, a male blocking food without chasing. None of these look like emergencies, but fish don't collapse from emergencies. They collapse from accumulation. This is the point where we need to break a popular belief. Many keepers think aggression is the main killer of African cichlids. That belief feels logical, but it's incomplete. The late Ad Konings, who spent decades observing African cichlids in their natural habitat, made something very clear. Aggression in the wild is constant, but deaths are not. Why? Because stability exists, space exists, escape exists. What kills fish in aquariums isn't aggression alone. It's aggression layered onto instability. Mbuna react first to oxygen compression and territory crowding. Peacocks fail faster when digestion efficiency drops. Haps decline under mineral drift. Frontosa tolerate stress longer, but collapse harder once thresholds are crossed. Frontosa don't show stress early, they store it. And when the bill comes due, they pay all at once. Different species, same system failure. And here's the moment that confuses almost everyone. The fish dies overnight. You turn the lights on. The water looks perfect. The rest of the tank looks calm. So the keeper says, it must have happened suddenly, but nothing about it was sudden. Night is simply where collapse finishes its work. At night, oxygen demand peaks. Plants and biofilms stop producing oxygen and start consuming it. Bacteria respire harder. Flow stagnates behind rocks. One pocket becomes hypoxic. One fish sleeps there. And by morning, it's gone. Tests still read perfect because the collapse was local, not global. A test kit is a photograph. A system is a movie. Fish die in the scenes between the photos. That's how the illusion survives. Each death feels isolated, but the system already shifted, and once it shifts, it remembers. Once the first African cichlid dies, the biggest mistake isn't the loss, it's what the keeper believes next. One weak fish, bad genetics, probably from the shop. But African cichlids don't function as individuals, they function as a network. When one fish drops out, pressure doesn't disappear, it redistributes, hierarchy tightens, feeding order changes. Energy costs rise for everyone else. And here's the trap. The tank often looks calmer during this phase. No fighting, no chaos. That calm isn't peace, it's compression. A stressed fish compensates. It still swims, it still eats, it still looks okay. But compensation burns energy faster than recovery can replace it. And this is where most tanks are lost, not to disease, not to aggression, but to emotion. Big water changes, deep filter cleaning, rock rearranging, more flow everywhere, all logical, all fast, all destabilizing. African cichlids don't collapse from imperfect water. They collapse from unpredictable change layered on stress. There are always warning signs before collapse. Feeding hesitation, sleeping lower than usual, slightly faster gill movement, micro-territory shifts, subdominant fish avoiding flow. These are not personality quirks, they are early alarms. And once you learn to read them, you stop reacting late. So how do you stop this? Not with miracle treatments, not by chasing perfect numbers. Collapse prevention starts with rhythm, predictable feeding, consistent maintenance, stable mineral content, balanced oxygen pathways, controlled social pressure. African cichlids are pattern-reading machines. When patterns break, their biology flips into survival mode. The solution is slow change, one adjustment at a time, never stacked. Small water changes instead of big swings. Gradual flow adjustments, groups added together, not singles. Territories reset once, not repeatedly. And even when collapse has already started, recovery is possible, but it's slow. Weeks of stress require weeks of stability to unwind. Some fish don't make it, not because the fix failed, but because the system broke too long ago. And this brings us back to the beginning. African cichlids don't die suddenly. Death isn't the event, death is the conclusion. The real story happens quietly, inside the system. And once you learn to see the system, the mystery disappears, the losses stop, the tank becomes boring. And boring is not neglect. Boring is predictability. In African cichlid tanks, excitement is a warning. Boredom is a reward. If this way of thinking changed how you see your tank, stay here. Dark cichlids isn't about quick fixes. It's about understanding the system before the system decides for you. African cichlids don't broadcast stress the way many tropical fish do. They don't flash colors, collapse immediately, or hide for days. They suppress. And suppression is expensive. Because in these lakes, showing weakness invites elimination. The biology is simple but brutal. Any fish that displays vulnerability becomes a target. So African cichlids evolved to mask stress, to keep swimming, to keep eating, to keep posture long after internal systems begin to strain. This is why keepers say he was eating yesterday. Eating is not health. Movement is not safety. Activity is not recovery. They are masks. And the longer a fish is forced to wear them, the higher the eventual cost. That's why collapse often feels dramatic. It isn't sudden, it's delayed. Most keepers think of flow as strength, stronger pumps, more turnover, more movement. But African cichlids don't respond to flow intensity. They respond to flow structure. They evolved in environments where water moves consistently, not aggressively. Current paths are predictable. There are no dead zones that suffocate overnight, and there are no random blasts that force constant compensation. In aquariums, flow is often chaotic. Jets hit rocks. Flow breaks unevenly. Pressure stacks in corners. A fish resting in the wrong pocket at the wrong hour pays the price. And this is where many experienced tanks quietly fail. The flow looks powerful. The surface ripples. The oxygen test reads fine. But geometry matters more than power. African cichlids don't need more flow. They need flow that makes sense. There is a dangerous phase in every failing tank. The phase where the keeper knows something is wrong, but doesn't yet understand why. That's where good intentions do the most damage. More cleaning, more changes, more adjustments, more chasing solutions. This is human instinct. We respond to stress with action, but African cichlid systems respond to stress with collapse when change becomes unpredictable. Stability doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the same thing at the same pace in the same order. When you break that rhythm, you don't reset the system, you confuse it. And confusion costs energy. Energy is already low. This is why some tanks never recover. They weren't killed by the original problem. They were finished by the reaction to it. So here is the reframe that changes everything. An African cichlid tank is not a container of fish. It is a pressure balance system, and fish are the sensors. They respond to imbalance long before instruments ever will. When one fish fails, it isn't a defect, it's a warning. When two fail, it isn't coincidence, it's confirmation. And when losses feel random, the system has already moved beyond your visibility. The goal is not control, the goal is predictability. Not perfection, not intensity, not constant improvement, but repeatability. The same food, the same timing, the same flow, the same maintenance cadence. Week after week, African cichlids reward boredom, because boredom means nothing unexpected is happening. And in their world, unexpected is lethal. And this brings us back to the truth most people resist. African cichlids don't die suddenly. They die after the system has been asking for consistency for weeks, sometimes months without being heard. Death is not the message. Death is the punctuation mark at the end of a sentence the system has been writing quietly all along. Once you learn to read that sentence, you stop chasing causes, you stop blaming fish, you stop reacting late, and the tank stops surprising you. It becomes calm, it becomes quiet, it becomes boring, and boring is exactly where African cichlids live the longest. If this changed how you see your tank, stay here. Dark cichlids isn't about fixing problems after they happen. It's about seeing them early enough that they never have to. And now listen carefully, because this is the part most people skip. If this changed how you see your tank, don't scroll past it like nothing happened. Stay with it, think about it, let it sit. Every loss you blamed on bad luck, every moment you thought was sudden, every time the water looked perfect but something still went wrong, that wasn't coincidence. That was the system speaking quietly. If this connected with you, don't leave silently. Share your experience, what you lost, what you learned, what you'd never repeat again. Because this hobby doesn't grow through tips. It grows through truth passed between keepers who've already paid the price. And if you're new here, subscribe. Not for me, but for the fish. For the understanding that comes before the mistake. For the patience learned before the loss. This is a place where mbuna test pressure, where peacocks reveal hierarchy, where frontosa store stress in silence, and where every species follows rules older than glass, filters, and numbers. This is Dark Cichlids, where we don't chase fixes, we read systems, where knowledge doesn't float on the surface, it sinks and waits for those willing to follow it deeper. Your next discovery doesn't start in the tank, it starts with how you see it. See you in the next one.